Well, William Ruto was last week declared the winner of the Kenyan presidential election after about a week of votes tallying. The declaration wasn't taken in good faith by the presidential candidate of the Azimio La Umoja, Raila Odinga, who described the result as null and void. Odinga and his supporters claimed that the chairman of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Wafula Chebukati, had hijacked the process leading up to the announcement of the results. As Odinga goes to court, what should Kenyans and the rest of Africa know? Welcome to VSA. I'm Sulaiman. Well, five-time presidential candidate Raila Odinga has, for another election cycle, rejected the results of the election. Odinga in 2017 also rejected the result of his election against President Jomo Kenyatta, with the Kenyan Supreme Court asking for a repeat of the election. Well, this time against current Vice President Ruto, the 77-year-old Odinga has declared the result as null and void. Let's take a moment. We'll come back to the show. Well, quick backtracking. The 2017 result was actually against President Uhuru Kenyatta, not Jomo Kenyatta. Odinga secured 48.85% of the votes, while Ruto won by polling 7,176,141 votes, and that's 50.49% of the votes to win the much debated election. Odinga says there is a mismatch between the results of the election and the figures of turnout on election day. There was also an allegation that the Electoral Commission failed to tally ballots from 27 constituencies. Wafula Chebukati, chairman of the IEBC, was accused of irregularities and unilaterally declaring the results of the election. Some also say that the election results were also allegedly incomplete, inaccurate, and unverifiable. The former Kenyan Prime Minister claims that there is enough proof to pursue his case. The Supreme Court is expected to deliver a judgment in 2 weeks' time, while the rest of Africa and Kenyans await the next decision. What should everyone expect? Joining us on the square today is Eric Ngano, who is a lawyer and former presidential speechwriter. He joins me from Kenya, and also Dr. David Matsanga, who is an African affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thanks for seeing you both. Quickly here, let's start by bringing in the lawyer to make sense of this. First, Eric, did you see Odinga's rejecting that result?
Yeah, I saw Odinga when he was making a statement rejecting the result. It was extraordinary by any standards. It was an extraordinary event. It seems like he was trying to rally his base to support a campaign, a cause that was fast losing credibility. And so therefore, I feel that he felt compelled to use very strong language, to use very intemperate language, to use very, I would say, ill-advised language, given the circumstances and generally speaking. I mean, he declared basically the result null and void, went ahead again and then said that the declaration had not been properly made, so there was no declaration, and then said that there was no president-elect. Sometimes he wants to say a declaration should be quashed and that he should be declared the winner instead. It's whole running around in very confused circles. The only thing that is notable is the violence, the vehemence, the venom with which those pronouncements are made.
Let me bring in David Matsanga. Dr. Matsanga, quickly here. You were very optimistic. You ran that election with us here on television, and it got to a point you were sure that something untoward had happened. Well, how would you, let's start by talking about the IEBC, that's the electoral umpire in Kenya. Dr. Chebukati, Mr. Chebukati is in the eye of the storm. Now, rate for us the conduct of the IEBC during the election.
Thank you very much, Suleiman, and thank you very much, Eric Ngeno, a friend of mine.
Hi, David.
I want to start.
We still haven't met.
Yes, we are friends, but on opposite sides. So, but we remain friends. We have been friends. We shall remain friends, but we shall talk and disagree on facts. First of all, Suleiman, if you look at the paper that Mr. Chebukati used, let's start here. The paper that he used to announce Dr. William Ruto as the winner, the mistakes are very glaring. The mathematics does not add. Even if you added the figure yourself, you would think that a whole IEBC, an institution given money to run election for Kenyans and to verify, tally, declare a right figure on the paper that he used to announce the results, because each agent took the paper. After that, the final tally, you see the figures don't even work. The figure at top says 14,021,327. The rejected ballot was 113,614. And then the valid votes were 14,466,779 minus the rejected ballot. The number comes to 14,353,165, not 14,213,027. Gentlemen, I have no problem with Mr. Ruto having his certificate. But I have a problem with this institution, Suleiman. And I've been on this show telling you that trouble will come from the institution called IEBC. Their mathematics was wrong. It will be wrong. It is still wrong as we speak now. Apart from even up to today, 2 days ago, we finished the elections last week. The portal is still delivering to us results. Now, you wonder whether this portal was being controlled from Kenya or from Venezuela or from America, which is sleeping 4 days, or from Vancouver, because Eric knows Vancouver is 4 days by a jumbo jet from New York. So, it is a sad. Kenyans woke up in the morning, Suleiman, peacefully went to vote. They voted peacefully. They walked away, sat at home peacefully. And I want to thank them again. I want to thank the Kenyans. That is the spirit. But one organization, one institution, a one divided institution with 4 commissioners, now 6 commissioners, saying we didn't even agree. We were not shown. The whole matter was opaque.
Let me bring in a lawyer. I'll come back to you. Let me bring in Eric. Eric, what's the ideal way to go about announcing the result? In Kenya, must all commissioners go with the chief electoral commissioner, in this case, Mr. Chebukati, for the election results so announced to be valid?
There's a contention right now to argue that the announcement of the results is like an ordinary business decision of the commission, like at a board meeting, so that therefore it has to come up as an agenda item, and then you need a majority, and then you need a voting on it. But in the presidential election, like all elections, the decision lies with the returning officer. I mean, all returning officers in Kenya are employed by the commission. It is absurd to argue that the commission then has to sit at every polling station in the country and take a decision on the 6 seats that have been contested and come up with a vote. That would be very cumbersome. It's not practical, and it's not the position in the law. The position in the law is that the chairman of the commission is a returning officer for the presidential election. And so therefore, as soon as the results are studied and verified and all the protocols have been observed, then it's his job to announce, to declare, as it were, to declare who has won the election, and then proceed thereafter to gazette the person he has declared to be the winner of the election and issue a certificate accordingly. So that is the position in law. Obviously, every election season, we see Raila Odinga's campaign going to court on a fishing expedition, trying to latch on every possible argument to produce, to sort of nullify or invalidate the results. So this time around, because there has been a learning process in electoral management, and so the elections were very transparent this time around, and all the results were published in a portal. You can access them from Nigeria, you can access them from London, you can access them from Vancouver, anywhere in the world, and actually do your own tallies. And Reuters actually did their tallies, BBC have done their tallies, everybody all over the world has done their tallies, and they can see the basis for the declaration that William Ruto is the duly elected the president.
So in other words, Eric, let me jump in here. In other words, the operative word there, unilaterally, that some are saying in Odinga's camp doesn't hold water.
No, it doesn't hold water. But they want to go and test that proposition in court through litigation, saying that declaration of the presidential result is some sort of unique process that requires a commission meeting at the board level, executive level. But I think it is an election return management, just like at every other polling station. We vote for member of the county assembly, the returning officer declares them. We vote for members of National Assembly, whether it's a women representative, and we vote for senators and governors. And we've not had a situation where we say that commissioners must meet to declare. It just so happens that the returning officer for the national presidential election happens to be a high-level officer of the commission. But he's a returning officer nonetheless, and it does not require, just like other positions do not require, a meeting of the commissioners to agree on whether, on who should be declared to have won an election. I think the very best, it is an absurd proposition to present before the Supreme Court at the very best, but for what it really is, it is frivolous. It's a frivolous, hopeless and doomed expedition that they're going to, at the expense of a lot of people, people's hopes.
Before I come to David, before I come to Dr. Matsanga, quickly here, Eric, before I come to Dr. Matsanga, if you say that's what the law says, one wonders how come Mr. Odinga's camp don't know this, knowing full well that the deputy presidential candidate was one time the chief law officer of your country.
If you notice, President Odinga's campaign have refused completely to engage with the portal where the results have been posted for public use. They have refused to engage with that completely, and have come up with a whole fabrications of allegations that there has been hacking, there has been tampering, the figures don't add up, they really did win, but it was stolen. And so you see a situation where Raila Odinga starts with the position that he won, or at least he rejects the win of his adversary, and then begins to sort of work backwards towards producing arguments to support that position. And so it's really It's really a refusal, a willful refusal to engage with facts and reality. And it's unfortunate that that's being taken to be tested in the courts. As we speak right now, the Raila Odinga arguments are being debunked all over the place because all sorts of people are coming to say, look, the allegations of hacking cannot happen because of people are giving that, and the figures, the innumeracy involved in the arguments that they are forwarding.
Let me bring in Dr. Masanga here. Dr.
Yes.
Masanga, you know, the outcome of that election has been challenged by Odinga's camp. 4 out of the 7 commissioners at the IEBC have also said they're on the side of the people. They believe that Mr. Chebukati hasn't actually gone with the law. So does that validate Odinga's argument as he goes to court?
Look, I think my friend Ngeno today should have declared to you a disclaimer that Ngeno belongs to William Ruto's legal team. Please. So I am not here to argue with Ngeno because Ngeno is a member of Dr. William Samoei Ruto's legal team. Period. Let's tell the world the truth. Me, I'm a 67-year-old man here. I'm not going to come here to tell lies and then spoil your show.
But Dr. Masanga, you're also a supporter of Raila Odinga, so I think we'll have a balanced show. So if he's on the side, of William Ruto, you're on the side of Odinga.
Yeah, that is okay, but I'm not a lawyer of Odinga. That's the difference.
David, be nice.
I'm trying to ask you to protect me because he is a lawyer of the client. I am not. I'm just a supporter of the client. So the truth, that's all I was asking for. Now, Ngeno knows very well. Nobody is against you. You can have your certificate, no problem. But people again just want the correct mathematics. That's point number 1. The mathematics doesn't add up at all. 2, if you read the Constitution of Republic of Kenya, it says the commission consists not of a chairman. The commission consists of 7 people, namely the chairman, the vice chairman, and the commissioners. They must agree. And this is why Raila Odinga has taken the matter to the court for interpretation. They must agree on everything. There must be a concurrence because they were part and parcel of collecting the same presidential results. We had them read the presidential results. Then why do you exclude them, disappear with some papers, come back later on with your own result, and you want them to sign the documents? That's why Mr. Ngeno should tell you that 4 of them have each made an affidavit in favor of Raila Amolo Odinga. Actually, there are 6. The 2 who were with Chebukati have equally made their affidavit, interested party in the case, to support the argument of Raila Amolo Odinga. So here we are. The chairman is on his own. The chairman can declare, tally, verify, declare. Let me tell you, you can't verify, tally, declare what? Who has collected it? It must be the commission. All these papers are coming through the commission. And Suleiman, the worst thing is that the chairman had what we call a back office. Once the document form 34A came, they went to the back office. Nobody saw the back office. And these are all commissioners earning the same salary, the same privileges, same bodyguards, same housing allowance, everything, except the chairman who guides them in meetings. He never showed them anything. He had his own opaque operations. That is what I'm now telling you, what is down here on the ground. And Eric has not made, he's making his representation counter representation tomorrow to answer the queries of Raila Omolo Odinga.
Now,
Raila
take us, Dr. Masanga, take us through the queries for non-Kenyans watching across the continent. Let's go through the queries again.
There are queries. Queries are very many. There are 21 of them. And I can't have time to read 21 serious. One of the most important query is Wafula Chebukati tampered with the results, announced wrong results. None of the people from the mathematics presented at the portal got 50 plus 1%. That is one complaint. Another query is the computers were interfered with. Once the Form 34C came from the returning officer, the image which is called JPEG transformed into PDF. Between that transfer and the transformation, the Azimio la Umoja Raila Odinga says there were discrepancies where people tendered in different forms 34B. Therefore, those forms, all of them have been corrected. Those that were tampered with have been corrected. And they have been taken to they are in the court custody now. Another allegation is there were figures that were inflated in certain areas. For example, the number of people, constituents, for example, you have 6 ballot papers, 1 for voting for the president. So you have to vote for, after voting for the president, you have to vote for another 5. But how come that the votes for the president were more and the votes for the other people were less? And if they are less, where did these other ballots go? That is the query.
So you're talking about the discrepancies in the figure of that what was being tallied on the day.
Yes, and then if the president is 250,000 votes in one county, one polling station, the governor should get the equivalent number. The MCA should get the equivalent ballot. Even if the ballot is not marked, that ballot must be in the box and counted as spoiled ballot. Where did the ballots go? That is the question that everybody wants to see. And this happened in areas where His Excellency William Ruto had a big expected number of voter turnout. And you can see the mathematics in all the whole Mount Kenya, the Kikuyu area, and some parts did not add up.
Before we go to Eric, David, quickly here. At some point, the entire Kenya was happy observing these election results online. And we could see it going up and down like a yo-yo, one leading and the other one going down and another one leading. At what point did Mr. Odinga's camp decided to not believe what they had believed all along?
Not only Mr. Odinga. You ask at what point did all the Kenyans, the media houses, you remember when we were here with Mr. Murithi from The Nation, the results were coming very well. Everybody was copying. Pick a pen. Eric is a lawyer who has taken oath. He must tell the truth to the world. We have children to safeguard.
So let me come to Eric then. Eric,
the results came in very well. and later on they stopped.
So
They stopped.
let's come to Eric, because Eric, what David is saying, we covered the election. He was, more than one occasion, he was with us live on the show, and we saw the different platforms we were watching that election result. But now, well, Odinga is saying, well, that's not what it is. And David Masanga is also saying that there are discrepancies in the figures of that result. And some are also alleging that somewhere, some tech whiz may have tampered with that result, even in faraway Kenya.
It's a very interesting assertion to make, given this was the most transparent, the most constitutionally compliant election. It was the most transparent, it was the most verifiable, it was obviously real time, it was the results were being posted real time, and all the forms that are required for somebody to make an evaluation of who won the election are publicly available to date. To refuse to decline, in fact, what Azimio's, what Raila Odinga's petition is doing is to impeach the output of a process that has come a long way, is to say that I'm not going to engage with the data that is available at the public portal, at which everyone has used to come to the determination that it's clear what Chebukati said is right, that William Ruto won the election, given those returns. And he wants a different, basically he wants a different election. He wants different data to be used. He wants a different system to produce a win for him. So it's very wishful. It's fairly desperate. It's you want to sympathize with it, except for the fact that the public is being put into under a lot of disruption. There's so much suspense in the country, and it's unnecessary. But you can see the distress that he's going through, that he has lost another election for the fifth time. The Independent Review Commission that came up after the post-election violence, which was putatively occasioned by the lack of transparency in the manner in which the 2000 election was managed, put Kenya on a path towards setting up secure electoral systems that can give people the technology, the systems, the processes, and the personnel that are required to manage an election in a manner that we have seen. What has happened so far is that the technology is on point. The biometric identification of voters, the Kenya Independent Electoral Management kit, what they call the KIMS technology, has proved its mettle. It's hard to staff ballots because what happens at the polling station level is incredibly transparent, incredibly secure, incredibly. It can assure you that the election is credible, and the transmittal process from the polling station to the tallying centers, constituency, and then county, and then all the way to the national level is very secure. So what has happened now is that the technology and the systems and the capacity and processes component of election management is good. The human component, that is to say the organizational human component, the commissioners and the politics around their appointment, and the fact that they can be liable to capture by certain forces. You can see the 4 commissioners who first defected from Chebukati were appointed after the handshake, first went to the handshake, and there have been allegations that they have got close relationships with certain politicians, political actors in the Azimio coalition that could probably put them in the path of conflict of interests that is adverse to the public interest. These people are clearly, there's been an attempt to capture the commission through them, and you can see up to now that the mainstay of Azimio and Raila Odinga's protest is to use these people as a feedback. It's a feedback loop between these commissioners and Raila Odinga. So they keep echoing each other and trying to reinforce each other and trying to build a case to say that management of the election is part of the ordinary business of the commission, so that it requires some sort of board sitting and voting by the commissioners. But I ask the same question again, that the IEBC exists in dual capacity. First, it's a public organization that has ordinary business. It hires people, it pays people, it deploys people, it buys things, it sells things. it has to be managed on a day-to-day basis, and it has to formulate strategies and policies and so on and so forth.
And Eric, let me jump in here before we go back to David.
Yeah.
This is happening for the second straight election. Perhaps
Yes.
there must be some kind of reason here. Do you think that Mr. Odinga is a bad loser?
I believe there is ample evidence to suggest that Odinga is a bad loser. That is actually the simple matter of it. The only election, the only transition which went peacefully.
And David, let me bring in David. David, I see. I apologize. I think I just wanted to be clear on that. Now let me quickly bring in David. David, Eric has said yes. Mr. Odinga is a bad loser. We've seen him in 2017. Well, he had to let go. He said he wasn't expecting anything different in that particular election after that Supreme Court ruling. What do you think is different this time? Because we saw Odinga and Martha Karua specifically saying to the people that this will be pursued to a logical end.
First of all, Odinga is not a bad loser on this one. He might have lost some those days, but on this one, the IEBC, and I think Eric Ngeno as a lawyer, please stick to defending your client with the certificate, but don't come into the murky waters of IEBC. You are not a lawyer of IEBC, sir. You are a lawyer of your client, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. The IEBC has a case, an obligation to the people of Kenya to produce credible, transparent elections. They did not. Suleiman, I've sent you the real list, the real hard copy of the chairman. You can read it yourself. It is on your phone. That is the phone that he used to announce Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Raila is not fighting Ruto. He's fighting the IEBC. He wants a credible election. A verifiable election, numbers, wording, mathematics. Suleiman, the word in Kenya for the last 2 weeks it has taken us to school. Even Eric has gone to school a bit to calculate the figures. They say 0.000 this, that. I have never seen, we have all gone to school. And for me, Mr. Suleiman, I failed mathematics. And I want to tell the world that I don't want to calculate anything to do with mathematics. So the Kenyans want proper mathematics. You can't say 100% plus 00. There is no 100% plus 00. Either the vote is 100% or it is less, it hasn't reached there. So the mathematics from the paper I've sent you on your phone and the paper I've sent to your producer, look at the differences. Look at the difference in the figures. Odinga is not saying he is dying to get the leadership. To the contrary, my good young man, friend, Dr. William Ruto, is the one dying to get the leadership. Odinga is simply saying, let there be a credible election. We cannot have an election where 6 commissioners now have distanced themselves. That where the chairman got the figures, we don't know.
Talking about those who have distanced themselves, can we bring in here, David, quickly bring in here the President, Uhuru Kenyatta, who's yet to congratulate his deputy president and the president-elect, William Ruto, despite promising a smooth transition. So what do you make of that? The man is yet to speak.
Yes, but can I tell you that all African presidents, except Buhari, has been very, very careful because Buhari understands the Commonwealth Constitution. He hasn't congratulated Ruto yet because Ruto is still under the, Eric will tell you, Ruto is in transition.
I think
African
if we can actually get that out again as we speak, my producer should try. I think President Buhari has also sent his congratulations. Was one of the President Buhari of Nigeria. I think was amongst the very first African president who sent congratulatory messages to William Ruto.
And have you read his message? His message finally says, pending the verifications of the court. Kudos to Buhari. But when you have some presidents in Africa who don't know the Kenyan constitution, they have already rushed to congratulate Ruto. In 14 days, the court could stop Ruto. So what do? Do you congratulate him again? Or you remove the congratulation? So President Uhuru Kenyatta is advised by men who are seasonal. Even Eric has been one of his advisors. Mr. Eric, will you say on this TV you are not? You were. And we have told Kenyatta, yes, we have told Kenyatta, don't get involved yet. Because you will be breaking so many laws. You are the one going to hand over the sword. Eric was with me. And we know very well. You see?
Hello?
I wish him a successful inauguration. That is better than English and very good. But the others were saying, I wish you everything. We want all the presidents in Africa. Most of them got the interview, the letters wrong until I talked to Suleiman. I talked to two of them, two of my friends. They changed the language and they said, pending the court.
I like us to see President Buhari's message again because so that we can get it clear. President Buhari categorically went on, and that's a quote from the President of Nigeria. He said, I congratulate the President-elect of Kenya, William Ruto, on his victory in the August 9, 2022 general elections. I wish him a successful inauguration. That's the inauguration that is coming, and tenure in office, while also looking forward to more fruitful and robust engagements between Nigeria and Kenya. And we had some others from around the East African region also congratulating. That's Samia Suluhu Hassan. That's a congratulatory message. Quite a number of them. I want to see more if time will permit. And Museveni, the president of Uganda, also, on behalf of Ugandans, sent his congratulatory messages.
Yes, yes.
The same with Ethiopia. And that is why Kenyans and Africans and all this, same from South Africa, are saying, what is it that the president, the outgoing president in Kenya, is yet to say congratulations or say a word since after the election? Quickly here, let's ask you this question before I come to Eric quickly. Eric, I'll come back to you. This is for David Masanga. Isn't it because some are saying that he's shell-shocked because the president didn't think that with the arsenal and everything that he's got in that coalition with the La Umoja and Odinga, he never thought his deputy was going to win that election.
No. Eric knows I am also closer to the president. Please, Eric, tell Suleiman, very close. You know it, Eric. I've stood by both of these guys. I've stood by President Uhuru Kenyatta and I've stood by William Ruto when they had their trouble. And I don't want us to mislead the world. All the people who have written those messages don't understand the Kenyan constitution. Whether it is President Museveni, whether it's President Buhari, whether it's President Mnangagwa, whether it is President Minister of Ethiopia, the Constitution of Republic of Kenya was there. Actually, they should dismiss their communication experts. They should send them away. The Constitution of Republic of Kenya says a person becomes fully a president when the court process in 14 days are finalized. Then you can now send your message. But
I think we're getting something not too clear here, David Masanga, and it has to do with the couching of those messages. No one has said Deputy President Ruto is president. He's president-elect. And on that ground, the messages can come.
can I now tell you they should have written in good English? And Eric and I studied Shakespeare in English. And Eric stand here, tell the world, they should have written pending to court procedure.
Let me bring in Eric, because I don't think anyone has ever sent a message like that. Is there a precedent? Has anyone sent a message anywhere in the world saying congratulations on your election pending when? Let's bring in Eric. Eric, help us here.
I haven't seen anything of the sort. David is really pressing hard on the constitutional procedures about waiting for the petition to be exhausted so that it can be inaugurated. That is partially true, but it is a fig leaf. That is a constitutional fig leaf for a starker reality, which is that congratulating William Ruto for Uhuru Kenyatta would require him acknowledging a reality that William Ruto won, therefore Uhuru Kenyatta lost. Uhuru Kenyatta backed Raila Odinga and bet he shot on his win, and he has lost everything. And he's still figuring out his way forward, because congratulating, I mean, he has to leave his candidate, his project, his political project, and abandon him and congratulate his competitor. And that I think is going to be a hard pill to swallow for a while, which brings us to, there has been a sort of tradition about presidents managing their exits. They adopt a stance of strategic ambiguity, where they seem to support both sides, and they also seem not to support either side, so that you are, for example, Mwai Kibaki was able to be strategically ambiguous in a very successful way, and he went out, in a blaze of glory and enjoyed a peaceful retirement. President Moi made it very clear that he would not have minded if Mwai Kibaki won, although he had said he supports Uhuru Kenyatta, and he was very quick to instruct Uhuru Kenyatta's campaign to go and concede to Mwai Kibaki. Uhuru Kenyatta, the manner in which he went into, because he's a very passionate politician. He gave 100% supporting Raila Odinga, and he seems in that way to have been completely zero-sum, that he never even took into account the possibility of William Ruto upstaging his candidate. And so now he has to walk back. He has to sort of reckon with unexpected, unintended consequences, which comes to probably should have been less obvious. He should have been more gracious. He should have been more subtle and discreet in the way he has managed his succession so far. And so he has that problem. And so therefore, he is fortunate in the sense that he has a constitutional fig leaf of saying that he has to wait for Raila Odinga, the courts to exhaust the process before he can. But the truth of the matter is that he bet his house and he lost it.
What do you think? What do you think, Eric? What do you think happened on the day? Because some are still insisting, because Odinga is quite popular, a popular opposition figure in Kenya. How important was his declaration of the court as the settler after the announcement of the results? Do you think he prevented a major violent response?
No. This election had been abstracted from the domain of ethnicity and all those other negative impulses that usually animate conflict in our elections. And we had managed now to have a contest that was waged purely on the arena of issues. We were now talking about the economy. We were now talking about the most vulnerable segment of our population. We were now talking about employment. We're talking about growing the economy, increasing revenues, making savings, and that sort of thing. And it was not possible, therefore, under those conditions, to prosecute a campaign that pits communities against each other, or regions against each other, or tribes against each other. So this election was going to be peaceful. Somebody would have had to invest a lot of effort in fomenting violence. On Odinga, actually, his declaration actually sort of ramped up tensions more than it allayed anybody. And you could see he was hard-pressed to call on his supporters to be peaceful. He would have obviously liked to go to the streets. Even as he was going to file his petition yesterday, he asked people to accompany him to the court, paralyzing the entire judiciary for yesterday. A lot of cases had to be adjourned and so on and so forth. He has profiled his petition as the people versus Chebukati. So you can still see that he's very antagonistic. He's still in that very confrontational mode, but it looks like one of the things probably that we might have to thank Uhuru Kenyatta for is successfully keeping Raila Odinga off the streets. At this point in time, things would be quite different had it been normal times before he met Uhuru Kenyatta and sort of come to terms with him. Raila Odinga, as I've told you earlier, is a terribly bad loser, and the way he's prosecuting his case right now, especially in the public domain, is not gracious at all. It's not statesmanly at all. There is a lot of imagination involved in fabricating the grounds in which this petition has been lodged. There are a lot of allegations that do not stand even the cursory examination by laymen, let alone experts. The legal grounds are tenuous. Basically, he is telling the court, audit the entire election, the data, the numbers, the forms, the processes, everything, and give me something to work with. So he is extending his politics. He's extending his politics into the judiciary. He is extending his campaign to the Supreme Court. He is telling the Supreme Court now what I failed.
Can I come in here?
Polling station, I want to achieve on the bench, the Supreme Court bench. And frankly speaking, at some point, people are actually fairly fatigued with this idea that every election must end.
Let me bring in this before we come to David. We're almost going. Just yesterday, we saw Odinga. He paraded through the streets of Nairobi after filing the petition to challenge the result. And James Orengo, one of Odinga's lawyers, says the election result amounts to a civilian coup, to the effect that every rule of the game was violated. Let's take a listen to David Orengo. Well, it looks like, that's not ready. So I wanted us to hear David Orengo, because yesterday, categorically, he was specific in his words. He said it amounts to a coup. I think that's ready by now.
We think that election amounted to a civilian coup to the effect that every rule of the game was violated. We have evidence where systems, networks, laptops, and the entire KIMS kits were corrupted in order to achieve a result in favor of Mr. Ruto. We are very confident. I've participated in many petitions. This one, I can tell you, is a bombshell. And we've got so many smoking guns. And I think at the conclusion of this petition, you're going to have a determination in favor of Raila Odinga. We've got a cocktail of orders that we want from the court. But we could have a rerun if the court so orders, but we think we have circumstances in which the court can actually retaliate.
Eric, you heard that as a bombshell.
Yes. Let me come in. Let me come in here.
I wanted, because I'll come to you, David. Just apologize. I'll come to you. I wanted Eric to react to this before I come to you, so that we can wrap up the show.
What has been seen so far is a desperate gamble. What is called the bombshell is fabricated, obvious fabrication of sort of feedback, online feedback from portals to say that people are trying to illegitimately or illegally access the IBC portal and manipulate the data there. It's been debunked, it's been roundly ridiculed throughout. I think that the Azimio Coalition's legal team and legal strategy was too motivated, was too invested, emotionally invested in finding grounds to invalidate
okay, let's bring in
to the extent
now.
That they were willing to accept any cock and bull story as fact so that it can advance its agenda. And I think they are probably going to be embarrassed quite deeply.
Okay, Matanga, you also had James Orengo. He said every file is corrupted, and he said what they have is something that gives them joy.
Suleiman, with due respect, I am advising Eric Ngeno to go and defend his client. We have a case which is very tight, a tight, watertight case. There is no loophole. The case you were caught, they are not going to touch those BVR kids anymore. They are under custody. We are not, this side of Raila Odinga, we are not interested in hearing what Eric and his client want to say. We are interested, we are going for the institution called IEBC. In fact, Ruto can stay at home. We are pursuing. Suleiman, I've been telling you on this television, when we started with you 1 year ago, I've been telling you that if I were a Kenyan, I would not allow Mr. Chebukati to handle my vote. I told you that Chebukati was going to bring chaos. We are not interested in Ruto. Ruto can have that certificate, keep it. But we are interested this time, not twice. The other time he bungled an election. Kenya lost 50 billion, $5 billion. Today, Kenya might lose $5 billion again. So what we want, what one of the prayers that people of Kenya are praying, which will serve even help Eric and his client, is Mr. Chebukati should be punished for bungling an election and for ever making the same mistakes and for allowing almost what we call a civilian coup. Because when you go and cook the figures, then you come and tell your fellow commissioners to sign the paper and then you go. Is that not a coup? Why didn't you put it together so that you can deliver it to the court and announce? So what Azimio la Umoja One Kenya of Raila Odinga is seeking is to find a free, transparent election where a winner will win transparently and a loser will concede transparently.
I think it's a fine place. It's a fine place to leave it for today. And by the way, David Masanga, you just reminded us that we did this a year ago. The entire month of October will be the VSA month. We'll be celebrating and going through a whole lot on the continent. Eric, apologies, I'm out of time. Eric, I know you will really want to stay on this matter, so definitely, Eric, I'll ensure that you come back to the show. So David, you have also been speaking like a lawyer. So I'd like to thank you both gentlemen for being such nice company. David Masanga and Eric Ngano. I'm Sulaiman. Bye-bye.